All right, so we ran into a little snag. I did not record the meeting, so I'm going to just re-go through the content for the people that weren't here. First and foremost, I see that a lot of you highly preferred using Edpuzzle to complete your rehearsals. We're doing those because if we do come back and we do still have a spring concert, we will need to, make sure that we're on our A game so that we're ready to perform. So I'm going to share my screen with you very quickly, go through everything again. Sorry about that. Shout out to Manuel, who was awesomely helpful earlier. So you may have noticed that I've created a bunch of assignments that are called Edpuzzle with different sections of our music that we've been going through in class. Same thing for 7th grade. There's a little bit less for you guys right now because your videos are a little longer, but I will be adding to those throughout the next couple days. These Edpuzzles are going to be graded based on whether or not you've completed them. So we're doing a little bit of honor system with the singing. And I tried to keep the questions to a minimum because I didn't think that they were the most helpful. But I'm just going to share with you. Here is what Edpuzzle looked like on my end. I can see in my 7th grade class, shout out to 7th grade, 1/6 of everybody has already completed the assignments for today. You'll also notice that I have videos exclusive for part 1s and part 2s. If you are a part 2, you do not need to complete the part 1 videos. And if you are a part 1, you do not need to complete the part 2 videos. So let's take a peek. I also have for 8th grade, several of them also have completed, probably about 1/6 as well. No, 1/10 of the students have completed it. And we're still waiting on 6th grade. So I'm going to send out a class tag today to help those students know where to find their assignments. So in these, I've included vocal warm-ups, and every time you complete my virtual rehearsals with Edpuzzle, I want you to start with the vocal warm-ups. You simply have to watch the video to get credit and complete it. I would actually physically complete the warm-ups because they do help warm up your voice for the choral pieces that we're working on. Now, there's a couple important pieces of information that I receive. The first one is your name. The second one is how much of the video you've watched. You'll get a grade if there are questions. When you last watched it, I will receive, and if you've turned it in. So down here, you'll see that there are no grades for these students who have completed their assignment because there were no questions to answer. But for some of those questions, you'll have to wait for your grade because I'll have to manually respond to them as to whether or not your answer was correct. But for instance, we're going to go into Bianca. She was my guinea pig earlier. We can see that Bianca watched the entire video on March 22nd, all 9 minutes of it, exactly one time. So I am expecting that even though I'm posting the assignments once, that on every Tuesday and Thursday at the minimum, you are going in and completing those assignments so that we're prepared in the event that we are still able to have our spring concert. So that's what my interface looks like. For you, there's a couple tips that I have. I'm going to try to change the setting. I don't know if I can, but once you've completed a video or completed a question within a video, you can't go back to correct your answer. So if for some reason you clicked next too quickly or bumped your phone or something and your answer is not correct or complete, you can always in Google Classroom leave me a comment with your actual answer. And since I can override what you were given, I can give you credit that way. I also saw that 1 or 2 of you were having trouble getting signed into Edpuzzle. Make sure that when you click my Google link that you sign in with your school account because I have this limited to just the people. I have it connected to Google. When you log into Edpuzzle, make sure you use your school email. because I have it linked to Google Classroom. And the way that CAP has Google Classroom set up, only CAP students can be in a Google Classroom from a CAP teacher, which makes sense. So if you're having trouble with that, that's a big way to help you. I know I tried to join my own class to make sure that everything was working, and I could not because I was not a CAP student. So for this, I think that's about all I have, unless you have any questions. If you do have a question, why don't we say to leave it in a comment either privately on any assignment, or you can leave it on a comment below this share in Google Classroom, so that I can answer your questions as quickly as possible. And if you ask a question, maybe someone else has it. I have muted a couple of you because you weren't using Google Classroom appropriately. So those people will have to leave a private comment. They can't leave a public one anymore. But I do like the capability of you being able to share information with other people, which is why I choose to leave it open. So for that, I think that's about all I have. I'll be posting more of these videos to get through songs like Speechless, the rest of Murasame. Yeah, and some things might just have to wait till we're back together again. I know the ending of Murasame with the counterpoint with the what do we call that? The counterpoint is also called like singing around in a canon. I know that that might not be as possible, but if you're interested in working on that skill, you can always sing along with the recording tracks that I've also shared from the companies that make these pieces. So that's what I have for Edpuzzle. I do want to review Musician and Aurelia because I made some changes. I'm still learning how to use it. It's brand new for me. I attended a couple trainings this week, and so far, here's where we're at. I've gone through I'm learning how to make specific assignments, which I'm very interested in. I like being able to tailor it to exactly what you already know and limit the length of some of those assignments. But for now, what I have done is made a curriculum just for us that only has the things that I think that it would be easy enough and review enough for you to work on. So in Aurelia, this week, we are going to be working on dynamics and tempo. They can be found under music elements. They are both extreme review activities. We've talked about if you are in 7th grade or 8th grade, we've talked about last year dynamics and tempo and this year. If you are in 6th grade, some of it might feel a little new, but we have at least talked about dynamics, which is nice. I'm not grading your accuracy on these assignments. I am just using this as a way for you to be able to practice. So I'm going to take us into dynamics right now. And, I'll teach this lesson real quick, just in case you're not sure of yourself. And then I'll show you what the example looks like. So when I click Take Lesson, they're going to give you information about this, sometimes in more advanced vocabulary than I would like. So I'm going to kind of decode that for you right now before I show you what the activity looks like. So dynamics, here it says, dynamics refer to the loudness or force with which a musical gesture is being performed. Dynamics tell us how loud or soft the music is, and if it's getting louder or getting softer. And we've talked about that before. We use labels to show how loud or soft it should be at any given point in time in the music. And we also use labels to indicate whether or not those dynamics change, whether or not it gets louder or softer. It could happen gradually, it could happen suddenly. But basically, you just need to know that dynamics are how loud or soft the music is. So if you did not see that, right here in the corner, I clicked on this arrow. So I'm going to go back. Yeah, there's multiple pages that you can navigate to. So for dynamics, we're mainly focused on forte and piano, which you've already learned. Forte means loud. Sorry, I can't click here to show you an example. And piano means soft. Sorry, again, that I can't click here to show you an example. So when listening to a piece of music, I really want to see if you can tell if it's loud or soft. And I want to see if you can tell if it gets louder or softer. That's the big goal of this first lesson. Going to navigate over here. I myself am in the way. Let me move me out of the way. So we also want to know if you can tell, like I just said, whether it gets louder or softer. We use these little hairpin symbols, these little alligator mouths. This one means crescendo, which is getting louder gradually, so a little bit at a time. And here's a diminuendo, or a decrescendo, which is what I called it, which means that we're getting quieter. So some of the terminology is a little different, but that's okay. There's several different interchangeable words. So I have it set up for us to use the United States version of rhythm instead of the UK. So I hopefully have gotten rid of any references to quavers and semiquavers and crochets that you don't really want to have to navigate, but words like diminuendo are still there. Two words we haven't gotten to. I don't think that many of the questions ask you this information, but it's also why I'm not grading the accuracy of your answers as much, is sforzando. So sforzando is a loud attack, and then it means you suddenly get quiet right after. So it's like suddenly with force. That's what it means. And then a marcato is just a really heavy, strong emphasis. So like big accents, big notes, very heavy. Do we have anything else? There are other words that we've talked about, like mezzo, which actually physically means half. I told you that it means less. It does in a way. It means half. It is very specific, less. And then we have the ending issimo, which means very. So it might be pianissimo with 2 P's to show that. Right here we go. So we might have pianissimo, which means very quiet, and we might have fortissimo with 2 F's, which means very loud. There are other words like poco, a little, molto, very, or senza, without, but like poco crescendo means like a little baby crescendo, a little bit of crescendo. But that is it for this lesson. You can always have 2 tabs open. You can always go back and forth. The lessons look like this. I'm going to click it. I'm going to explain first and then click because it will start to play sound once I click. You're going to either be identifying if something is loud or soft with the words loud or soft. And you're going to at times be telling me whether or not it's getting louder or getting softer using the words getting louder or getting softer. So for example, I'm going to turn my volume all the way up. That's with my volume on my laptop all the way up. So I can tell that this is soft. I'm not going to answer Manuel's assignment for him. I'm just going to click back. And then in level 2, it's the same because loud and soft is loud and soft. You can't make it harder. So the difficulty changes that we're now using the words piano, forte, crescendo, and diminuendo. So you can already tell that is forte. There's a huge difference. So if you're not sure about piano or forte, then it's probably piano because forte is extremely forte. So that's the first lesson. Let's take a look over at, I'm just going to click on Aurelia again. Your second lesson is on tempo. Sorry, this bumped over here now that I've shifted the size of the text and the size of the window. Our other lesson is on tempo. There's a short introduction where basically, if I were to summarize, it says tempo means how fast or slow this music is. So we're referring to the speed of the beat, the big beat, and not all the little notes. Because something could be like, something could have 16th notes in it and sound fast, but it's actually just a really slow macro beat. So we do have a nice big chart here. We've worked with the words adagio before and allegro. Some classes I've even done moderato. But this is a scale from slow to fast. The slow ones are at the top and they get faster and faster and faster as you move down. So let's move on. I also care about you knowing about tempo changes. Accelerandos are where we get fast, it accelerates, and rallentandos are where it slows down. I used retardandos. Rallentando and retardando are both musical terms. Rallentandos are bigger than retardandos. So you slow down more and more extremely. So they're using rallentando. It means the same thing for the most part. But the good news for you is that with those rallentandos, it's going to be easier to hear with your ears. So I'm going to give you an example. Again, level 1 is without the terms. It's getting slower, getting faster, faster, slow. Actually, they're just changes. So either getting slower or getting faster. And then level 2, they're going to switch out that Italian vocabulary to rallentando and accelerando. So I'll show you the first example. So that might have been hard for you to know. I'm going to clap along to see if it gets, I don't think it got slower. So I'm going to clap along to see if it gets faster or stays the same. And I'm not going to select Manuel's answer. I think it was very slight accelerando, but I think that the answer that they're going to look for is that there wasn't really a change. It was just fast. I'm going to click on it again to give you a different example. For this one, you can hear that it is getting slower. I'm going to clap the beat along with that one so that you can see how I would navigate this assignment. So you can feel how if I were to keep clapping the same speed, I would no longer be with this recording. So I would clap along with these. If you have to speed up, you'll feel it because you'll be like, oh, it's moving faster than I am. And if you're slowing down, you're going to notice that you have to like really control when you clap and you're waiting for it. Let's move on. The second lesson, or sorry, the second level of this lesson is just the exact same thing, but with tempo changes. I can already tell that it's not slowing down or speeding up, so I can cross off these two. I know that that's not my choice. And then for you, it's going to be nice to be able to pull up a separate tab so that I can go into those notes again. I'm like, I know that this must be one of those tempo terms, but maybe I don't remember them. Maybe I need to look back into it. So I can take the lesson again, find that chart, and my two choices were Allegro and Andante. Well, I know Allegro is fast, so I already know what the answer is, but I do want to look at those definitions. So this is fast. Allegro is fast. Okay, this was not fast. You do not run up to the stage at graduation during pomp and circumstance. And then Andante at a walking pace. Oh, you do literally walk at a walking pace up to the stage during graduation. So I know that it must be Andante. Again, I'm not selecting any of Manuel's answers for him. He can do his assignment himself. So with that, that's pretty simple. Then in musician, the only assignment that I want for you to complete is stem direction. I'll show you where that is right now with the circle. It's under pitch. I think that it's better for me to have less in here so that you don't like maybe click the wrong thing and get really overwhelmed when it's like asking you chord progressions. So stem direction is where we're headed next. I'm gonna undo that circle. I know that a lot of you probably left your notebook at school because we didn't know on Thursday that we would not be back on Monday. I know they let teachers in for a second to grab some things, and I went in to grab some things and still forgot some things, like everyone's makeup work. So for here, this is under pitch, it's STEM direction. Just a little bit of review, and they changed one thing about what they said. What it really says is more of what I said initially, if you needed proof that I was telling the truth. But then I sort of switched gears when our packet said just make the STEM direction down if it's on the middle line. So if the note is on the middle line, they're saying up. Down is acceptable, both are acceptable. I don't really care which one you choose. And again, that's why I'm not as focused on your accuracy in these assignments. I'm more focused on, are you practicing? Are you getting some of them correct? Are you getting none of them correct? Do I need to go over something when I next see you? I'm hoping as much review as possible to keep our skills up, because we do forget when we haven't practiced a skill. So again, middle line, they're saying up, sorry. Both are acceptable. If it's above the middle line, the STEM goes down. And if it's below the middle line, the STEM goes up. And then again, like I said before, the goal is to be able to keep your notes within the staff. Like if it pokes out a little bit below, that's okay, or a little bit above, that's okay. But you really don't want a note that's like up here, sorry, and then the STEM goes up, because there's usually other music up here and then it's like crashing into that. So you really don't want that. It's too messy. It's not really like useful for what we're doing. So in this lesson, it's all review except for one section. So down at the bottom, sometimes we have notes that are barred together, beamed together, like eighth notes. And if there's a bunch of eighth notes together on different pitches, some might be above and some might be below. So the general rule is the majority of beam notes, if the majority of them are below the middle line, the STEM direction goes up, because that's what you would do normally. If the majority of them are above, then the STEM direction goes down, just like before. What can get complicated, and what I'm really not worried about your accuracy with, at least until next year for my 7th graders, and only next year for my 7th graders, is that if some are above and some are below, you follow the trend. Oh wait, so if some are below and some are above, then we just typically go up. Because it would really only be down if most of them are above. So here, let's use 2 different colors. I'm gonna use red for notes below, and green for notes above. And I'm just gonna kind of circle all the notes that are below first. So here's one below, here's some below. And then let me circle the ones that are on or above with green. Green is above, these are above, and these are above. So in this first group, because let's be honest, they should be separated, they're not actually together. There's 2 separate sets of 16th notes. Here, most of them go up, most of them are above or on the middle line, so the bar would go up. But even when it's evenly split, if so much as one of them is above the middle line, the stems really should be going up. Again, I'm not as worried about you understanding that specific portion of the content because it's new. And really our only goal should be a lot of review while you're not with us. I mean, my son's teacher is giving him new science. I don't know if I agree with that, but like our goal right now is review, reinforcement, enrichment. So this is a little bit of enrichment, a little bit of extra content, but it's mostly review. It's just like one little tiny step further. So for all of this, eventually this will be an assignment you can complete. For all of this, for the Aurelian musician, I really only want you spending 5 minutes a day on it. Please only spend 5 minutes a day on each activity. So 5 minutes of tempo, 5 articulation, 5 of the STEM directions. I'll create those assignments in Google Classroom today. And when I say each day, I mean each Tuesday and Thursday. You are welcome to do more. If you are bored out of your mind and this is something to do, go for it. But it's only assigned on Tuesdays and Thursdays because Tuesdays and Thursdays are for math, phys ed, social studies, art. So, you know, you don't need to technically do them on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm fine with it if you want to do more, but you don't have to do more. And I would still limit it to 5 minutes for each activity. If you're doing slightly less than 5 minutes, but you've done 20 examples, I am not upset with that. Because this is a practice tool, it will continue to indefinitely, without an ending, give you give you multiple examples until you're done practicing. The good news about it is each time you go in, you'll get different examples. It won't be the same example. It's like an endless worksheet that always gives you new things. But it's also not an assessment tool. It's for me to let you practice. So when it gives you correct and incorrect, that's for you to be able to improve your score next time, not so much for me to be grading you based on your practice. Now, the tasks that I give you, these assignments, those I will be geared towards showing me if you've been practicing the things that I've been assigning. Right now, there are no questions in this, so you cannot take this assignment. I've done a couple trainings, but I'm still not done fully learning all the capabilities of this program. By the end of the next couple of days, it should be up and running. I'm hoping for Thursday's class, I'll change the assignment title. But you'll have unlimited time to take the worksheet. It says test or something. No, it doesn't. Okay, good. It is just an assignment. It'll give you unlimited time to complete it. It will always be available because I know some of you are night owls. I know some of you are completing the work as I'm like going to sleep, which is fine. But I will make it available at all times. I will allow you to resume if you leave because like say something happens like and you need to stop taking it for a second. I will give you 3 attempts to complete it. So if you do really, really poorly on your first attempt, you can go back in and take it again. And I think that's all that you need to know about that. These will be turned into me sort of like a worksheet. Whereas the other ones, I can see your overall trends, like how many problems did you do? How much time did you spend on it? What percentage of questions are you getting correct? But I'm not assigning a grade for that percentage. I'm just noticing what you're getting. I'll be updating these grades in Google Classroom as well. I don't want to put them in PowerSchool, especially while school's not open. But I'll be putting them in Google Classroom for you so that you can kind of see like where you stand with all the work that we've been doing. Did I speak about Edpuzzle? I think so. Yes, I spoke about Edpuzzle. So I think that's all I have for you for today. I will be back on Thursday, just in case anyone has questions. I'd rather do too much than too little. I am always available by email, but I have also been responsible with my sleep. So just give me 24 hours to get back to you. It will very often be much less than 24 hours that I take. And again, if you have any questions, anything that I haven't addressed, anything that's stressing you out, a question unrelated to music, you can always feel free to ask in the comments on Google Classroom and I'll answer to the best of my ability. Sorry if I say less than more, because I know there have been some questions about the school closures, but we just don't know yet. And we just kind of all have to hang tight and hope that all the measures we're taking are working. Well, I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, take it easy, don't stress out too much. We're going to do our best to hang in there throughout all of this. Well, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in Google Classroom or on Thursday. Have a great day. Bye.